Man, you know what? I'm just gonna say this straight up. I'm very much a fan of Gen.G's current run, and I mean just their run in CS period. Looking back on their, I mean, technically playing up as way too French a little bit early on. A couple of players also playing for French Canadians, even a couple of big frames players here and there. Again, I'm very much excited to see how this team does going forward, and I'm actually kind of enjoying this default at the moment. On a pistol round at that, you have a 2-2-1 setup going between B, mid, and A, but it's not just a regular default. The players that are sitting up on B are so conservative at the moment, just sitting on back, and they just have a singular star fragger holding up on Cat 2. I mean, goddamn. All right, huynh for the defender side, capitalizing on 2 with a shorty. And now this default for the attackers has fallen completely apart. Mid advantage is gone, and now the players that are over on B, they have to commit. Oh my god, MkaeL. Of course he's on the front lines. Of course he's getting the frags. Headshots all over the place. Last person remaining for this team is Solomon. I would be remiss to say that he has a chance in this one.
Yeah, 1 versus 5, 30 seconds left. It does seem impossible, as effys will catch the first bullet, but MkaeL, like you mentioned, had that double earlier, wrap things up with a triple. 1-0 now, as Gen.G find themselves a stellar start, as expected. They are the favorites going into this matchup. I think now one of the favorites in the tournament, alongside TSM and Immortals. The underdogs here of Homeless, it's gonna be a really hard battle. I think that the way that Homeless have their Ascent set up, they definitely do stand a chance. We saw them earlier in the day play on Ascent, and I wonder if that success is going to continue. For now, round number 2, and all of Homeless have stuck to just classics.
And that's a situation that they put themselves into. At least in the last round, Sam was only able to get himself 1 frag, so no bonus whatsoever going in for this Homeless side. And for now, Gen.G, they're still holding up on a relatively similar setup than the last round. This time, huynh is actually holding up mid with the Marshall, and point blank takes down dephh, trying to find another one, and he finds another one deep right in mid. The last 3 players for Homeless are already corralled into B main.
Ooh, effys as well has got a recon bolt waiting for them. Gets just 1, catches 2, and now he's looking for the 3rd. There are butterflies in his net, and 3 of them are now dead. 2-0 here for Gen.G. That was a little bit of a dark analogy, I have to say. I apologize for that. But Gen.G, second round on the board. It's clean as ever. effys on that LMG. Nobody catching a bullet to the face. They keep all 5 players in, and this is the bonus round scenario where they go up against the buy. You say this all the time, Gus, and I always agree with it. They've got a better chance than their opponents now just because they've opted to go for the more expensive weapons.
No, absolutely, and again, that's just the current meta. You buy up just slightly in the second round, it's only efficient enough against the eco, but after that, if none of your players go down, if you can make the most out of what is inferior util, inferior manpower, on the 3rd, you might as well just be successful for the rest of the game. But for now, it's going to be the upgraded rifles capitalized here for Homeless. 2 frags to open things up on the A sites, and the spike going down.
As the spike goes down, we find ourselves in a 5-on-3. Already, dephh is just trying to clear all of their angles. Keep all of the amenities aside at the moment. dephh has player 1 in his crosshair, and well, he's got that kill as expected. huynh has the Marshall and a shorty. Like we mentioned earlier, it is kind of the effect where, yep, you keep all 5 players alive, you're going to stick to the lesser rifles, and that could cost the round, and this time it asks for Gen.G, but thankfully, no matter what, they're going to have the cash. They're going to have enough money to buy up in the next, so not too big velocity here for Gen.G. They even hold on to the Ares, so that could also be a factor in this next upcoming round, but I think dephh might take it away from effys, though. He starts to edge around the corner, and effys, he's just barely alive. I think that's like 1 HP on him.
2 HP, and it just holds up in the corner, so holding on to dear life for that Ares. I guess it's going to work out in his favor, and at least for this LMG, really the common spot for it. We've seen it in players like Infamous, in players like Sinatra. Oh boy, they love holding B with this weapon. You can spray right on through the wall, the extremity of B main, but looks like they're not going to hold on to an Odin. Instead, it's going to be the less bullet penetrating Ares, and effys actually places himself over on A alongside his friend, player 1.
Early spy cam is not going to be seeing much. When holding solo down mid with the operator as MkaeL alongside GMD anchored and bunkered down towards B. There's a slight crossfire, but it was just one man that took that fight. Laski puts GMD down, and now MkaeL, he is up towards mid-market. And as the wall goes up, there's a tiny gap. So MkaeL is not fooled by any of these shenanigans. He will jump on over. MkaeL doesn't get that timing, activates the one-way Cypher cage, and huynh is looking for the trade back towards B links.
Relatively, again, off that default. For the attackers, I mean, they didn't get much mileage off of it, at least on the mid side of things, but over on B, it's still very much successful. That's a lot of noise being made. They even threw out equipment, and at this point, it's kind of funny to see Gen.G, the full rotation from A onto B, anticipating a full take. It's a little risky. Not a singular player held up on A, and it's actually going to be an interaction over towards mid. Poised is trying to find a singular bullet through this cage once again, but he has to run away. Doesn't end up finding the last one onto huynh. He stays alive, but instead it's going to be plants on the A side. Again, completely wide open here as now Gen.G somehow need to make this full rotation and a 4-on-5 happen.
Spike down, and yeah, these last 3 players doesn't even look like they're gonna go for any of it. They don't want anything to do with it. huynh sits in the back of the site. I think they're at this point, right? You could find exits here. It wouldn't be wise if Homeless to go hunting. You really cannot afford to lose so much extra cash or so much unneeded loss of cash. So they're just gonna sit tight. There's no point in hunting. You risk your weapons, but you also have that chance of reward of taking their rifles away, but they're gonna dance on that fact and say nope, we're not gonna go for it. A second round here for Homeless as they tie things back up, and Gen.G a little bit stagnant at the moment. They call early rotations back to be off of a single pick, and then it kind of just leaves A very, very weak in there, and obviously Homeless were able to capitalize on that. The money a little bit battered as effys, he has to drop his teammate GMD a rifle here, and he himself will pick up the Odin, as I imagine he will be just anchoring down towards that B tunnel.
And that's really just been the quote-unquote counterplay thus far for Gen.G too, in terms of pure anchor. Always holding one up, at least on B. But with this round, it's a little bit weirder. In a sense, we do have ourselves the good old Odin in the hands of effys, and I mentioned before that this guy could use it up, but considering the fact that he actually elected to use up an Ares just a couple of rounds ago, it doesn't exactly surprise me that he would pick up an Odin. But at least going forward, kind of talk about the formation of Gen.G thus far. They've always held up at least one over towards mid, but now the operator held up instead on the B site over towards B main. It's still pretty common, but he has been such a kingpin over towards mid. But now when he has lost all of that control, B site is all in the control now. Are you kidding me? Of Homeless, huynh still catching one, MkaeL with another one. Well, let's see what goes on with the retake at least, because Superman's still flying by.
Catches GMD first. huynh has reloaded that operator. 5 more shots, and he's already used one of them. 4 in his magazine. 2 players to find. Supamen, it's money on his mind, and huynh has already got one. They can't let this happen as MkaeL shuts him down. It's the second round there for Gen.G. Or apologies, the third round. The dephh now comes in to seal it. And huynh, I think they're maybe waiting to get another rifle or maybe pick up a second operator. But that third round for Gen.G, a clean retake. huynh with a huge triple and just mopping things up. MkaeL finds the last. So Gen.G take the lead right on back as soon as the buy comes into the forefront of their rounds. They do still have money though here, Homeless. And it is going to be another rifle v rifle.
Yeah, not the worst of situations by any means, considering the fact that they were actually able to take that one back. Kind of surprising to me. Homeless, they had full control of side. They full control of main too. Still a great hold from huynh, no matter where he's on. B area. Now, at least this round's default is going to be very similar to the pistol round strat, but again, 2B, 1 mid, 2A, but huynh, oh man, so close to actually getting up that frag in B main off of the curveball, but not really going to happen just yet. Looking towards the rest of this one, you do have 2 ults ready and raring to go on Laski and Supamen. Laski He's going to be absolutely pivotal in just getting as much info as possible off this A side. Of course, he's going to want to snag up a frag or two, but it's going to be the info that's most important, considering the fact that Gen.G, they've been very uneven. They've been very unpredictable in terms of actual takes. So here goes the run it back.
Ooh, Laski sent back in. I think that might have been a saving grace because he might have walked right into the orbital strike. MkaeL, his tripwires are being activated, but that wall prevents him from going for that shot through it as Laski has traced effys bullets back to him. The source has been found, and huynh is now last alive here. There's a player on his back, but he doesn't even know. I don't think he realizes dephh has just got to sit and wait. huynh has opted to instead push through that flame wall and try and start something, start a ruckus. And he's got 3 kills to find, 3 to collect, and not a lot of time. The spike is ticking down ever so slightly, and huynh still doesn't know dephh is behind him. I think no matter what, even if he drops down to find both of them somehow miraculous, I don't even think he's going to get that far. He's going to get caught off by dephh, and he decides to back away, and deph's got the timing on him. Peeks out as soon as huynh decides to back away, and Homeless tie things back up 3-3.
Back and forth, he had a two-streak right after, and now the two teams are straight on back. Good take from Homeless. It was, I mean, to an extent, it was a very effective hold from Gen.G off the very beginning. They had the right idea. They had the wall on the front lines. They had multiple pieces of util right in front of main, but Laski ended up being the X factor to that one. Yes, ended up getting a kill through the smoke onto the effys, but in reality, again, like I mentioned, the run it back on site ended up getting all that info towards Cat, and not only that, but a very clutch curveball over the wall while he himself was inside of a smoke and was flashed. So don't really know what to tell you. Somehow these hero plays keep coming out round after round, but very early on, we finally see that B main op chiming in from huynh, and he's trying to find another one.
Very aggressive from huynh. Known as, well, obviously we saw the stat sheet. 80 maps and I think 280 kills with a 2.0 KD. That is absurd, and huynh has got another kill. Almost taken down by his own teammates on Tooth Fury, but hey, it was worth the while. GMD as well, out towards Catwalk. Shines true and gets another. It's now just down to 3, and player 1 has now made it 2. GMD still holds operator back towards A garden, and I don't even know what at this point what Homeless planned to do, as Som has at least gotten one back here, but the bomb, despite it is so far away from this A site, and it's going to be so difficult for Laski to work his way back, as now Som, his one lifeline has gone down here, Gus, and I think it will be the 4th year for Gen.G, but I might have spoke a little bit too soon here.
You might have, because again, Laski can still somehow take this one away. Still very much a tall task. Has no util to work with. 20 seconds left. Does have full HP. huynh, I don't think he misses from this angle, but oh yeah. Laski literally stops right in the middle of his crosshairs, and that's going to be the round. So Gen.G, a dominating one to say the very least, and like I mentioned before, when going over towards that B main area isn't exactly the most uncommon thing in the world, especially nowadays with the Jett op meta. But now at this point, huynh capitalizing, getting the first frag, getting the first pick for the team has been oh so pivotal, because most of these rounds have actually been going towards the side of Homeless in terms of early interactions. So to see that trend kind of change up for Gen.G should at least boot on a little bit more confidence for them. And in terms of economy, both teams are incredibly even at the moment.
Som Aldrone in, 4 players aggressed A main, player 1 out towards middle. Kind of a wrong setup, I guess, and has wanted trace by Venture's Fury. Som has got the first kill for his team at least. GMD right before that got one off the paint shell grenade, and as a spike has now gone down here, it's Laski who will be healed up underneath heaven. We've seen a lot of times A executions, A retakes. A lot of it relies on the fact that you drop of heaven, Gus. You said it yourself, and we've got to see if Gen.G can make it off of even that platform. Smoke's in their face, they're stopped in their tracks, and it doesn't seem likely, but if they can find the kill into dephh, there's a chance. They spring out from the garden, and dephh is just holding his trigger, holding his tongue, but GMD makes that adjustment. A triple for him now as they leap onto the site with the last 2. Supamen's already so down low, and Som, he's got an angle, he's got a chance. First kill is his, but he's got to find more. huynh will not miss that shot though, and the spike, 3 seconds left, and they get it done for a 2-round lead at 5-3.
You mentioned it, that drops so very difficult, but when you just have insane individual fraggers coming up from different angles, I mean, that was mainly the main thing that we've been seeing from teams throughout the closed and open qualifiers. That's at least on that A take, usually when they go around on the rotation, they don't really find all that much time to actually go back into A main. So having players on each spot does cover up each extremity very well. I mean, they're able to get themselves an opportunity at the 1v1 gun duel, and knowing how hard of fraggers this Gen.G team actually are. I mean, of course, they're actually going to be able to capitalize, but there you go. effys on the front lines with the Odin. He knows exactly what these players are. He found the first one with all that info. Huynh capitalizing on 2 more with the operator. Man, oh man, what a disaster for Homeless on the B main spot, and there's still another player on site, ready and raring to go to take them down. That's MkaeL, but there goes Psalm taking him down. This site is for the taking, but even then, supamen. Another frag in heaven. Psalm, the last one remaining. It's not exactly the easiest of tasks, but Psalm. We've seen him pull clutches like this before, not only in this game, but in various other ones. But man, player 1 still getting himself the angle onto Psalm and extending the lead now for Gen.G. 3 rounds in a row for the team, and it's a 3-round lead for the team.
What sucks is Psalm is gonna look back on that round and think he's gonna see the damage and realize he was 9 HP. A bullet maybe an inch or so higher would have taken him down, but it just wasn't meant to be. It's all good though. Homeless, they're vibing. 3-6. Yes, they are down. We've seen teams come back on the defensive side. We've seen immense leads, 9-3, especially when Poggers played against Homeless. Or not, Spot Up, apologies. They made that comeback. So not out of it just yet here. We'll see if on that offensive side, Homeless can make that recovery. But I think for now, by the way that they're playing, Huynh has gone all the way out mid. Player 1 will steal that second kill, but the combination of both of their aggressiveness has given them an opening. 2 kills in a matter of seconds. It's just 3 standing.
No, and incredibly interesting too, because you had player 1 again teleporting his way up mid, and Huynh pretty much capitalizing off of what would have been a distraction, still catching himself up a frag in top mid. Great combination between the two, a dynamic duo of sorts in mid, but at least for now, the frags are really the only option for Psalm. Just looking for any sort of use out of this round, and now Huynh confirms himself a 14th kill on the game.
Christ.
This guy has double the amount of frags than the top frag on the other team, but double the amount of frags than the person in second place on his own team. So yeah, I don't know about you, Sully, but Huynh is having himself a hell of a game. Although he even has a double hop setup with GMD most of this half, he's still the one being the absolute all-star.
As expected, the stats don't lie. Jesus, Huynh having a game and a half here. Witnessing it as well is what's even more incredible. Huynh, what more can he find? He's popped off, and I expect that to continue as he aggresses down B main. You talked about this before. He shot this angle time and time again, and I don't even know why dephh is in there. That was such a risky play, but dephh, you know, sometimes you gotta risk it for the biscuit, and I guess in that case he did indeed get the biscuit. Satcheling away here. Tagging him up though, it is Psalm. I almost said Psalm. Psalm finding at least a tag under that A side. I almost did say I almost said the entire word, but I corrected myself at the very end. A slight tag, nothing too major, as a default out middle here from Homeless.
It's not like we're not accustomed to Psalm at this point either. We've commentated a couple of games from Homeless, but also Psalm's stint with China Win earlier on in Valorant, and I mean, at least between a couple of these players, I mean, we've seen most of these rosters playing out in the early Fragadelphia tournaments. God, I actually wish those came back. Not gonna lie, those were pretty fun to have. But I mean, here in the Pittsburgh Knights, I mean, they have the same admin from those tournaments running these. Dustin Jasper, SFX helping us out, at least for this portion, at least. MkaeL takes down supamen, but from beyond the grave, supamen threw out the orbital strike, and he ends up getting the trade. Laski and Poised, last 2 remaining, as player 1 still playing pivot on site. Poised, 1v4, and he just goes down to GMD. GMD, the anchor up on the team, still sticking around, and well, that's a welcome change for Gen.G, to say the very least. Huynh didn't actually get himself a singular kill that round, so you know, golf clap at least a little bit. But well, Psalm at the top of their team, but even then, everyone else on this homeless squad just needs to step up. It's almost as if, well, it's not almost as if, it seems like they're just not winning any of their 1v1 gun duels.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when he doesn't find a kill, but I think the main thing, like what they're kind of reading into now is when they spot dephh out towards the back of B main, they kind of know that they're not going to go to B, because dephh for the past couple rounds has been that lurk. He's kind of just sat there while the rest of his team ends up going back towards A. So huynh gets all that information, and you see where all the kills are. They're all over on MkaeL looking on A. So huynh with that intel gives his team something to work with. Speaking of intel, dephh, just spoke of him earlier, has used the neural threat to try and gain some information back towards A as to where the rest of these players are. Player 1 TP'd back in towards the wine area, or at least back towards A main. I don't know if they've heard that. That's his own Cypher's Cypher cage at least. So as the paranoia goes out, he will go swinging, but nothing for him. He's at least caused a distraction for his teammates to try and get something. MkaeL's found one, and effys through the bottom of heaven has got another. Laski is alone on this site for the time being, and he's gotta wait, but no longer can he. Psalm, last one standing in a 1 versus 3.
Has the bulldog in hand, has no info. Only knows that there's at least one player over in heaven. He could be graveyard for all he knows. In terms of effys, has a lot of Valorant to play still. 30 seconds left. Slowly. Oh no, that camera! Oh, and he tried to hide behind the box. And considering that there's no time to work with, Psalm is just baiting out with this tracking dart. His last position does get revealed, but in comes Psalm once again, but the last kill is going to go down on huynh. 9-3 half on Gen.G. Gen.G closing out the half with 6 straight rounds.
Yeah, really good stuff, I have to say, from Gen.G. Obviously a little bit overkill from huynh with the Jet 9s, but last round you may as well. Gen.G looked really strong on that defending side. Like I mentioned, huynh trying to push in towards B main, getting intel that dephh is the only one there, and that probably means it's going to be a lurk. So I imagine that maybe homeless are going to try to do the same thing. It kind of seems like MkaeL's going for the same setup that dephh did, so they can read into that. This could be a comeback, to say at least, from homeless, but it all starts with this pistol round. And by the way it's set up here, it does look like Gen.G, they've done this before, very aggressive on Ascent they've gotten, and again it looks like they're going to try to do it down catwalk.
Shadows traveling.
Again, a interesting setup for now, and look at this pseudo one-way setup.
That's all 5
that came in from the defender side.
Here.
That came in from supamen, and it was a little bit of a bait, but there wasn't much to it. No meat on that bone. Because now the attackers, they still make their way up in main. They still take advantage of it. Still have dephh. Really the only person watching over towards mid. And now an A take could go down very soon. Laski, he does get flashed out, but still has that curveball going to allow his teammate to try to wide swing in. Laski still getting the kill onto huynh, but in comes player 1 taking down supamen. And the plant will go down uncontested for now as homeless, they try a 3v3.
Laski looking for another. He was the one that got the first kill on this A-side retake, and he's hoping for another. Drop it on down. We spoke of that time and time again. It's all about how you get out of heaven, and heaven has blessed them as the retake is clean. All 3 members that went for the retake end up coming out alive and homeless. There's the pistol round they were looking for, and they are looking confident to kick things off in the second half, but does that continue rolling into round number 2?
Well, I'm hoping so, because the last time that we put hope on a team like this that was, you know, down on a couple of rounds, that was spot up and they weren't able to capitalize at all. It was actually the anti-eco that came in for a couple of these teams. So, man, oh man. Let's see what happens with Gen.G going forward. They do have to, you know, of course, stick to just about 2,000 credits. It's not only just the credits, in a sense. They have to stick up into the next round, but at least the manpower towards one of these players, they have to stick together. They just want cheesy frags out of this one.
Yeah, especially with the weaponry they've got. huynh leading the charge with a shorty, that could definitely be deadly. Don't get me wrong, especially up against the ghost, that kill, and then you got the only other player kind of sitting really far back. huynh his hopefulness for a kill on that shorty is very, very short-lived. Supamen dancing around with his ghost. 3 bullets, 1 bullet, no more in his magazine. But dephh is here, and a quick reaction off that tripwire, and a cleanup here from Homeless. Kind of expected. They kind of all just funneled in. Only 1 kill, so Homeless won't be too mad about that. 1 loss is not too big, but here comes the fight, and we'll see if that 3rd round lull that I guess we've kind of created ourselves comes into effect.
Right. And you mentioned that 1 rifle ended up, having to be reinvested into, but what a player to pick it up. It's going to be Supamen. Supamen, as much as he hasn't really shown up in this tournament just yet, he was super, super hyped up. What was FaZe Clan Invitational and PAX Arena. Has an opportunity to step up for the team, as he technically has a hero rifle off this. Still laying around with 300 credits. The rest of his team still on SMGs, and an Ares laying around on Psalm. And it just so happens to be that Psalm is actually the solo hold on B and not the Cypher. Speaking of the Cypher, dephh is all the way up in top mid. And look at this flank. Oh, baby, dephh has the Spectre in his hands, but instead is going to be MkaeL taking him down. That could have been absolutely massive for the team, but instead, Gen.G, they find the man advantage.
Kind of at a standstill now. Gen.G, curveball in. Laski's been very good at that, and it's given them 2, almost 3. MkaeL and huynh at least traded back for a 3 versus 2, where they find themselves up man off for the initial kill onto dephh. Do they continue towards A? It's kind of a 1-1 split, but with 40 seconds left, I'd say they've got plenty of time. They could go back towards B if they want. They could work mid if they please, but it does look like they're headed back towards this A side. The Cypher cage, MkaeL, that's gonna pop right in front of him. They've got to find this kill into Psalm, who's waiting to heaven. It's a decent crossfire as well, because Poised, he's kind of just playing off with the contact here. Leave the 1 man in the heavens, and there's MkaeL taking down Poised. Now Psalm with the Ares is going to try and be the god of war, but I don't think he's going to win this war. Sends in the recon bolt, and it's been destroyed on 8 HP. A single bullet will take him down. He's got to play cheek. He really has to go for those kind of wallbang setups. And with the Ares, you've got the chance, but with that double swing, you stand no chance. And it's a 10th here for Gen.G as they swoop things up on that 3rd round.
That was a very small micro interaction, but I gotta point that out. That is a clear-cut sign of a on-tempo team, of at least a very, I don't know how to mention this. It's synergetic team. They have a lot of synergy among one another. Just that last double peek at the very end, they just wanted to confine in one another and at least playing up that pivot on site. But when they realized that the player was going to be at an off angle, off timed, they swing out at the perfect time together. That's really just a classic facet of 2v1s and tactical FPSs. We've been seeing it a whole lot in terms of the last couple of weeks, shutting down some of the most hype plays that would have been, I mean, Twitch clips that would have been, right? And I think at this point, the attackers, they do switch up their approach just a little bit more. This is their 2nd buy round, 2 up towards mid, and it's going to be a singular player here on B to hold things down.
Ooh, dephh. Even though he's paranoid, it's close enough for him. huynh can't make that quick enough an adjustment. And I feel like these are the slight things. It's a Jett smoke. You got to expect someone to walk through it. It's happened so many times to so many other teams. Psalm's got the Odin. That smoke clear line of sight, and a clear-cut kill. GMD's gonna try and pull this one back with a spike. It's nowhere near his vicinity, but he's got at least the 2nd. A 1 versus 5. How many of those have happened today? 2 to be exact. And he's trying to get another. Oh, GMD. Oh, so nearly, but dephh denies the dream of another 1v5. And Homeless take number 6 for themselves.
We've seen 1v5s all over the place. If I'm not mistaken, we saw Critical, not on a stream that we ended up watching, but of course we had Figment from Spot Up ending up in a 1v5 against Cloud9 of all teams, right? Still catching up C9 on it, and at least now at this point, Gen.G, they had such the platform on that round. They literally had the reset onto Homeless in the palm of their hands, but now Homeless, they find themselves throwing down the Uno reverse card, resetting their opposition. Now they have a full setup, and now again, Sully, you already know what I'm going to say. Economic damage is key in this round. You at least want yourself 2 or 3 frags to make this worth it. Your goal isn't to get, it isn't to get the round back. Of course, you like that. And of course, you want the spike plant, but you want to take away the rifles. You might want to save them, but at least make it tough for your opponents.
Yeah, truly, it's not expected that they're going to pull off this win, but it has happened in the past, and anything is possible. We'll see if it is going to be possible in this round, as they are taking some chip damage away at that Sage roll. dephh has taken a little bit of damage, but nothing to be worried about as Poised takes down effys. There's a single Spectre in the hands of GMD.
Cover going out.
Player 1 sending in Paranoia and sending in the smoke. huynh, he could actually find something here. Laski, curveball out as well. It's a full blind of huynh that goes flying on down as Laski springs out from the connector or the garden area and gives Homeless the 7th. Gen.G, it was a save, but here comes their buy and their chance to take things to 11.
So what's up next? You lose up the eco round, and of course that's expected. You didn't get any picks, so you just have to pour in all of your cash into this next one. Everyone has full util. Everyone has the rifle that you want, maybe except for an operator. You have full armor. What are you gonna pull off with it? What is the answer here for Gen.G? And again, it seems like they're not going to go for a default. Usually we see awareness, A, mid, something of the sort, but for now, they pour all of their players toward the B side for now as an early take.
And there's no aggressiveness here from Homeless. I thought maybe they were going to do the same thing that Gen.G did, but instead they're not even pushing, they're not investigating, they're playing passive. I guess that's the name of the game, but that passiveness has given Gen.G an avenue up mid. Psalm is here, but he's just one man, and Psalm has spotted 3. He's scared and he's worried. The tripwire activated. Oh, as soon as that wall goes down, it's Poised as well that will go down. Laski, he's actually been tucked in the corner. First kill to effys, a second curveball possibly, and a second kill, but no. Cleaned up by MkaeL as the orbital strike tries to deny them and tries to get a kill or at least some kind of damage. Supamen won't find one off the orbit. Will find one off of his rifle though, as Psalm goes down over towards the spawn. GMD and huynh had him dead to rights, both in their line of sight. And it is Gen.G that take 11. That openness over towards the bottom of mid is what I feel like is what gave up the round for Homeless.
Well, so that was the answer. A couple of players over towards mid for the squad of Gen.G, and again, it just works out in their favor. They don't exactly have the X factor that has been huynh in mid. I just want to mention, it almost seems like Homeless at times, they have awareness in just the wrong spots of the map. We've seen very antsy rotations from this team thus far. I mean, just early on in this half, we had Gen.G literally hold W onto A site, a clean, empty A site, purely because Homeless had an early call over towards B, but it was simply just a lurk. Now that we have yet another lurk over towards mid, it might be the boy who called Wolf. We might not see those overarching rotations anymore for the rest of the half, but let's say what actually goes down with the take. effy does take one with the Hunter's Fury, but he goes down. There's still one more on site, trying to hold things down in terms of a rotation. huynh doesn't spawn, but instead it's going to be Supamen with 3. What a flick at the very end. Unbelievable. First of all, how does huynh not get that trade back on site? But it just doesn't matter. Supamen, he's back in form, and he picks up a 3K for Homeless.
Unreal 3K. The dancing around the site.
Good here.
It's just a bachata dance from Gus. It's so easy. It comes so naturally. Supamen, a superhero here for Homeless, as that keeps Gen.G off of match point. The #1 seed going into the playoffs have been staved off and are still hungry as they are once again on pistols. They don't have forks. They've just got sticks to eat up the food that they've got in front of them. And it's not going to be easy here, as I feel like Homeless are starting to make this comeback happen.
Well, surely now, especially off of that reset now. Gen.G stuck on a deco buy, a Shiko buy of sorts. A Sheriff Eco, GMD, Player 1, effys, all on the Sheriff. They're trying to make their way over towards Cab, but again, so much util towards that spot. It's almost impossible for them to make their way through. Player 1 could have been the X factor on site, but he only finds a singular frag off of it. Now Psalm covering up the rotation with the Odin, just waiting for a player to cross through. Instead, he picks it back up, and he goes down to huynh. So much patience. huynh trying to find this frag onto Poised, but instead the spike is going to go down right in front of them, and the smoke going up to cutting off what was the momentum of that take in mid. In the very end, it was still very, very linear, and we find Homeless 11-9 under Gen.G. They find this next round to Gen.G. Their economy is still very much shambolic. Gen.G might just be able to pick up the SMGs, maybe a scattered rifle or two into the next round, considering the fact that they might be on full loss bonus. But otherwise, here, Sully, Homeless, like you mentioned, this is their best chance at a comeback.
You know, I gotta commend Gen.G for that hot scenario. I think I said in the middle of it, that's genius because the recon bolt went there. It's planned, right? They didn't care for information. They knew that they were being spread up by Odin. They just wanted to try and distract him, Laski. It's on to huynh, the top fragger for this roster of Gen.G. And well, he's already gone from the mix. It's an instant trade back towards Laski. There's a risk and there's a reward, and he took the risk, and he also got a little bit of the reward back here. Psalm down mid this time around with the Odin. dephh alone on this B site has to dance with them. They lined up for him. The first goes down to the second. It's just waiting for him, as it's only those 2 kills, but still 2 massive kills. As player 1 and GMD, the last 2 standing in a 2-on-2 against Psalm and supamen. Supamen, the hero. We saw that 3K, and now they've got to do it together. Harmony is the name of the game, and here comes the ultimate. Hunter's Fury. They're trying to deny something, and that lands perfectly. Almost gets them both. A slight tag on the both of them, and that is so much instant damage done. They know that GMD is right below them, but they don't know what side, and GMD uses that to his advantage as he finds the last 2 kills. Match point here for Gen.G.
And an incredible answer, just the slow, methodical take on A. You still had the util usage going back and forth between 2 teams. This is the budding rivalry I hope to see in the future because, man, I mean, Homeless, considering the fact that they haven't played it up against these teams, this Gen.G roster and this Homeless roster, they look so close within the 2. And on a map that facilitates so many 1v1 gun duels, so many close interactions, we're seeing really some intuitive strategies going back and forth between the 2 teams. Homeless is unsponsored. I can't believe I'm saying this once again. Homeless still unsponsored. And, I mean, at least going forward, this team still playing up against some of the best. Let's see what they can pull up again in this round, but it's going to be the orbital strike covering up the spot. Someone already has 2. supamen with the other one, flipping the switch. This was a 5-on-3, but now a 1-on-3. huynh being the last one remaining. He's been an all-star thus far in this game, but the second half, he has slowed down just a little tiny bit. He's stuck in the slower orb. He has to run away.
And only 1 bullet on that operator. If he takes a shot, it better be a collateral. He will go for the reload now, thankfully. huynh, we know how great he can be. Can he stand with the greats of TenZ and Wardell? Well, this round might just prove it here. But I don't think he's going to try and take this test. He's just going to back away. I got to say this is the right call. Right? Maybe you want to do something flashy, but this game is just way too close to risk something like that. Save what you've got. And you might be able to pull it off in the next round. Smart play coming out there from Homeless. The wall goes up. They get the revive. They kind of use that as a distraction to make Gen.G a little bit more eager to get through that wall. They're ready to run into it, and they play right into their hand. They play right into their trap. They're just sitting there waiting with rifles aimed at the breach, and well, that's what happens. Gen.G won't find themselves the game here just yet. It's Homeless that find 10.
Round finally ends. Looking down the scopes again, even when there's nobody around. Again, that Jett op meta, man. I mean, how many times are we going to see that today? How many times are we going to see that in at least recent times of Valorant? I mean, geez, that there are memes, right? We meme around here on the cast and also on Twitter, but the fact that Jett can just facilitate such an easy escape every single time just off of a single op shot. It's just the straight zoomies, man. You mentioned her earlier. She's got Heelys on.
Well, now we're on another dinner date. Well, we've got a technical pause. I know you're in the game, but if you're looking at the far side,
yeah, I see.
We're chilling at the table. This is nice. So Gus,
yeah.
So Gus, I hope I'm I hope I'm looking the right way. No, never mind. I am right. Immortals could end up playing Team Envy.
Go back. Yep.
So the winner of Team Envy versus Complexity will move on to the second round of the losers bracket, which is the semifinals. And then you've got whoever loses TSM Immortals, which I think we got an update on the score earlier. It was like 10-2 or something. So Immortals versus Envy. I want to see that. I want to see it. So our update last was 12-4. So that could be a matchup that I think would be really spicy to see. Obviously, everyone here wants to watch TSM. But remember, saving the best for last, ladies and gents.
Right, and that game did end up ending. TSM officially moving on to winners finals, upper finals here at the Knights Gauntlet. And now at this point, Gen.G, not exactly the best of buys by any means. They have an SMG in the hands of player one, and it's the downgraded one. At that, you got the Stinger. 2 Sheriffs in the hands of MkaeL, effys, Ghost in the hands of GMD, and the save operator from the last round. Again, their goal moving forward is going to be that economic damage, as I always mention. But again, I don't think economic damage really matters for the rest of this game. They just want to somehow cheese themselves a win out of this round. As in the next one, they are going to have a full buy. Let's see what they could actually pull off. Sheriff on MkaeL, taking down Psalm. And he's still dragging his way right through sight. He gets himself another one. He has the Odin and he escapes. You still have the Sage on B, but that's just about it. The showstopper. Oh, baby, that could have been so good for GMD, but instead it's going to be the full rotation from the attackers. They still have one player in the back line to be, could shut down this spike, and it's going to be Poised with a spray down. It's going to be huynh. Huynh has to make his way onto site as quickly as possible, and he's going to get the spike plant. It's a 3-on-1. Unreal. The eco works for Gen.G, and we are going to see Gen.G in the winners finals of the Knights Gauntlet.
Our first upper bracket finalist, and it is the #1 seed. They're going to be taking on TSM, I'd imagine. That is a game you guys do not want to miss. Congratulations to Gen.G. Homeless put up one heck of a fight, though. It cannot be said without acknowledging both of these teams. 13-10. It doesn't get close.